Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of our Project Architect 2 Modpack playthrough. Hope the day's going swell and well for you so far. As for me, well, I can't complain. And so, without further ado, let's dive into another episode. Normally I'm like, well, not too much has happened in between episodes. I feel like this time a lot has happened. Like a lot has happened in between episodes, and it's partly because I recorded that one that was like kind of an episode, but I was really just kind of showcasing EMC development. Speaking of which, I took some of your hints, tidbits, and pieces of advice, and that will be one of the things that we talk about today. Is going to be the RFTools dimensions mod, which is actually what's allowing us to get this 9 million EMC per second that you see. Because what we're doing, and it's actually almost done doing it, so we're gonna have to move it. We're actually just clearing out a whole bunch of diamonds, like a whole bunch of diamonds. And yeah, this is actually gonna stop here in just a minute, so we'll have to, I guess we could lower it down, keep the same dimensions, because this only goes down to 69, and I'm assuming the world goes below that. So yeah, I guess we'll be back in here in just a minute, and that's fine because I gotta explain everything anyways. So couple of quicker updates in between episodes, things that are easier to sort of get through. We've added a lot to the wall here, which has prompted me to want to go into other mods for storage and auto crafting capabilities, also just due to general usability, functionality, with complication, because I think one mod handles complication better than the other. Maybe it's because it's sourced in complication. Long story short, we're going to be swapping from RF storage, or from refined storage, over to applied energistics 2, because I think you can speed it up more as far as crafting goes. Man, I might be wrong with all the crafters and stuff that refined storage now has as far as add-ons go, but in just a more fluid process, I think applied energistics 2 is actually going to win out for being able to do everything we want to do, being able to do it quicker, being able to do it in a more what's the word I'm looking for, fluid manner, right? So it's not like we're not having to sort of rig stuff up specially just to get it to work. And I feel like with refined storage, sometimes you're doing that. So yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it. We have upgraded our reactors. I don't know if I ever said anything about that, but it's at nitro now because we've actually gone through and dealt with the wither and got a whole wither skeleton spawning situation going. And I'm just now realizing how long it's truly been in between episodes. So let's dive into this whole mess here. And I think the best way is going to be to attack basically where I started with in between episodes, which is going to be right here with the wither skeleton spawner and slayer. So the way you're going to do this, or the way that I did it, is with an entity spawner from mob grinding utilities. So if we look this up real quick, mob grinding utilities, it's going to be this little bad boy right here with the gears on the side. It says can spawn mobs in a 3x3x1 area, uses a mob egg in the top slot, fueled by solid XP jelly babies in the bottom. Now you can use this method to spawn mobs, or and this is honestly the easier one if I'm being real with you. Hey, sir, you're not really supposed to be down here. This is worker maintenance area only. So thanks for that. This is going to be the mob duplicator from Industrial Foregoing. The reason I say this is going to be better is because you only need to see one mob in order to get it to work. Use the mob imprisonment tool to capture a mob, and you see right here we actually have crabs in here. And that's because I've actually been working on getting to the EMC duplication, or whatever you want to call it, that Chosen has provided in this pack. But long and short of it, this method using the mob duplicator, it requires you to see literally just one of the mobs. It could be a warden, it could be wither skeleton, doesn't matter. You don't have to get all of the skulls or get a mob. Scare the shit out of me, man. Or get a mob egg or any of that kind of stuff. You literally just have to see the bad boy and then imprison it with a little cork tool. And these mob imprisonment tools are really cheap. It's just a piece of plastic and a gas tier. And you're going to be getting into plastic, so that way you can do some other things with industrial foregoing anyways. So you might as well just go for this method, because again, it's literally the exact same. They're both spawning mobs, but this one needs a constant supply of XP jelly babies, which is a process in and of itself. It also, get in the damn hole. It also requires you to have the spawn eggs. So this you can get by having the relinquiry charm fragments, and of course you can get those by having the wither skeleton skull plus some withered ribs. So it's not hard to get the eggs per se. You can also do it using the capturing enchantment. So there's a bunch of different methods, but I do think that ultimately industrial foregoing is going to be the method that you want to go with, considering again you should already be going into plastic. So whenever you get that up and going, whichever method you choose, make sure it's one that runs for quite a while. You'll get a lot of wither skeleton skulls, and even though I have gone into industrial foregoing and I believe we actually have everything to make the wither builder, I don't think I ever actually made it. Says we're missing a nether star, but surely that can't be right, right? Have I actually used all the nether stars in my system? Holy shoot. Because I slayed the wither quite a few times, so it is a little surprising. But I mean, I guess just to show you how I've been doing it in a very raw format, let's go ahead and do this here. Skull, get out some of these. So this is the method that I have been doing it, and it of course will change now that I have access to the wither builder, but I've not really needed to do this again since I sort of massively done this all in a row. So basically what I do is I summon the wither down there. I stand at the end of this hallway, which, yes, I think technically he might be able to fit through. He can fit through a one wide hole, but you see as he tries to fly at me, he hits this little mob masher, which kills them in 2 hits thanks to the sharpness and smite upgrades. We have 10 of each in there, and then basically you can just run it back over and over again. Now, of course, if you have the wither builder, then you can just kind of have him being built constantly and being slain and so on and so forth. Now there he goes, and there he goes. Now, we obviously only needed 1. There's 2. Initially, I was coming in from the side, but it was really hard to get, like, go to the side, then try to get him to come over here. So I found this works the best, and if you're just trying to get a couple wither slain, this is what you're going to want to use. Use the tinted glass from mob grinding utilities. You'll know that it works if you type in wither. If you hover over the glass, it says immune to... oh, that's dark connected glass. Hold on. Where's my glass? Oh, here it is. Glass blocks designed to prevent light, tough enough to withstand withers. So I guess this dark connected glass also does the same thing. But I went with the tinted glass. It's just glass and coal or charcoal. Not sure what this is. Oh, it's just Minecraft tinted glass turned into a different kind. So either which method you choose to go, just make sure you can hold the wither in so it doesn't go destroying your base. And that's basically the process there of getting into nether stars, which of course you need nether stars for, I mean, various things, right? Take a look here. One of the main things that I needed it for is going to be this moving forward with draconic crafting, but then also with power you need it in order to get nitro crystals. So I had to go through this quite a few times, but you know, like I said, the method that I'm using is pretty simple, so I didn't really bother using a wither builder for the large majority of it. However, after I got through doing all that, I decided, you know what, let's go set up some industrial foregoing, which brings us over to here. So this is basically the entire setup that you will absolutely need for industrial foregoing. And you really don't need this much of it, but I like to keep things, separated out, very visually representative. So what we have here is the fluid extractor. This is kind of the base point. And why is this running out of power? Is this... Oh, that's a little embarrassing. These should pretty much never be running out of power. Yeah, okay. So basically what we have here is 4 fluid extractors. In the middle of the fluid extractors, it's going to be hard to show. In the middle of the fluid extractors, we have a piece of a log, and specifically acacia log, because if you check and see what all this can be used in, it's fun. Fluid extractor. You'll see it creates 4 millibuckets of latex per process. And if you take a look, all the rest of the logs only make 2. Some of them make 3, but ultimately acacia is going to give you 4 off the rip. So it's actually your best option here. Now we're just gonna place that back and see, how does this go, like that? Okay. So yeah, acacia logs being placed in the middle there by block placer, very simple. This is from Cyclic. It's drawing out from a very basic EMC link, literally Mark 1, because it takes so long for these fluid extractors to get through it that you don't need any more, right? And this block placer is going to hold 64 in its inventory, so it kind of already has a buffer system there. Anyways, these fluid extractors are going to extract latex. Latex is being pulled into this singularity tank, which then goes, and the singularity tank's, again, just a buffer. But then it's going to go into a latex processing unit, which creates dry rubber. Dry rubber can then be smelted into plastic. Ooh, so that's how you get plastic. Wood, using fluid extractor, take the latex from the fluid extractor and put it into a processing unit, and then smelt that stuff down, and you get plastic. So from there, you're going to move into the dissolution chamber. This should be your next sort of step, and this will be where you do a lot of different things. So this is where you make your upgrades, speed, processing, efficiency, all that kind of stuff. But this is also where you make your improved machine tier. So if we go to industrial, you'll see that there's the pity machine frame, which you can just make. But then there's the simple machine frame, and this has to be made in the dissolution chamber with varying ingredients, and it takes some latex in the middle. And then if you want to make the advanced one, it takes pink slime. And if you want to make the supreme one, it takes ether gas. And of course, you need the supreme one to make the wither builder, which you will need for your quest line here somewhere. There. So you're going to eventually have to go through this process to get the wither builder if you plan on finishing the mod pack in its entirety or whatever, the sort of final goal. So the dissolution chamber, obviously this moves us on down the line. Then we have pink slime. Now, in order to create pink slime, what you're going to want to do is get some passive mobs because they generate it quicker than hostile mobs. You could use hostile mobs if you want to, but mobs will have a passive mob farm. And then you're going to want to use a mob slaughter factory. I have a range upgrade on it, so you can actually see the area here is a little bit bigger than what need be, but that's cool. I'd rather have it that way than the opposite. And basically it's just destroying every passive mob that spawns in there. I hate the fact this grass pops up. We could configure a way for it to be destroyed, but honestly, I don't use much / any pink slime outside of what I've already used it for. So yeah, maybe I just don't need that much pink slime. Anyways, but yeah, so the mob slaughter factory is going to produce pink slime and liquid meat. I have not used liquid meat for anything, so couldn't really tell you what it's used for. I'm sure there's a use, but anyways, pink slime, as we already saw, is going to allow you to move up to the advanced machine frame. And then last but not least, you're going to need some ether gas to move up to the next one. And here we have an entire ender tank of ether gas being pumped into a dissolution chamber. Now, ether gas, this is where things get a little interesting, especially since this seems to have a problem with it, at least for me. You know what? I don't think this fucker's still in there. I think he's out and about. No, maybe he's not. But I don't think he should be making that sound, right? I guess he's in there. Anyways, every time I spawn into the world, every time I change dimensions, the Wither slowly becomes more and more unstuck. He initially was up on the platform, and then the very first one I had, I don't know if you can tell, he escaped and started blasting everything. Just straight out the top here, because I used to have the fluid laser base over one. But yeah, every time I load in, he slowly moves. Now, I tried to rectify this on the second one by adding every upgrade I could think possible to keep this thing basically processing as quickly as possible. But he still moves. It's just a little bit, but given how many times I log out and log in or change dimensions, it's enough to fuck up my setup. So the setup that you're supposed to do is Wither. Then directly above the Wither, you'll want to have a fluid laser base with a purple laser lens. Obviously ours is not doing this anymore, but this will create you ether gas. So from that, you just pump it out like anything else. Now, one other thing that you will need for this process is the laser drill. Think of this as like a new kind of power. So the fluid laser base isn't actually powered using power. It's powered using these laser drills. The more drills you have, the quicker this thing will charge up and yada, yada, yada. Furthermore, you can upgrade the laser drills with, you know, add-ons, whatever you want to call them. And then it has a working area that you can see here is sort of a 3x3x3 block in front of it. So you can really get a lot of these laser drills going in on laser base. And we kind of saw this when I did the EMC video last sort of episode, whatever you want to call that. But we did it with ore mining, right? So a little bit different. You will need the Wither closer than what it is currently. It really needs to be sort of right up underneath it. Which is why down here we have the stasis chamber. Ideally, this thing keeps it from moving. As you can see right now, it's working. However, if I was to leave and come back, it'll move ever so slightly. So yeah, that's kind of how you get ether gas. And again, you don't need a whole lot as long as you're just using this for this one thing. I suppose if you're using a lot of these, let's see, if you're going for like the mycelial generator, then you know, maybe you want to figure it out. But that's it. I don't think you really need it for anything else. Yeah, mycelial reactor. Oh, you'll need it for the archimorph later on, but that's fine because once you have one of these, it's EMCable. Of course, you'll need it to add to the Architron. So, you know, maybe we'll try to fix this later on. I'm not really sure what the solution is. Because I even had him completely and entirely encased on the first one. Like, his body was entirely surrounded. The only opening that he had was the fluid laser base. And I'm assuming he spawned in, had his little movement, and in that movement shot a skull, which destroyed the laser base, and then he flew up out. Or maybe it destroyed the stasis chamber. I think it destroyed the stasis chamber, and then it was like, well, he's free. So I don't know. Maybe we use multiple stasis chambers. I'm not really sure what the solution there is, but we have a little bit until I really have to worry about that anyways. And I'm building, well, basically a whole new base over here, so we'll probably end up moving that setup anyways, because this setup was fun, but we're kind of getting a little big for our britches over here. Everything's kind of getting crammed in. And while we are getting towards the end of the mod pack, I enjoy mod packs like this, like Stone Block 3, where you have a lot of resources, a lot of building potential. They give you a lot of tools to use and all that. And it's not hard to get the building materials, right? We just pull most of them out of the transmutation tablet. So I feel like in mod packs like this, it is really fun to build these larger bases that otherwise would be either impossible or take you a long time. So we're going to build a really cool base, but you know, it's going to take some time and whatnot. Any hoosers, back over here. Let's see, we did all of that. Let me go look at the quest book. So we've actually done a lot of these as well, but a lot of them are just literally read it and craft what it tells you to craft. So for this block of copper 3x quest, it's just taking several blocks and combining it together. So you'll need to get a block of diamond 2x, which means you'll need 9 block of diamonds 1x, which means you'll need 9 of these to make one of those. You need 81 blocks of diamond to make what you're trying to make, right? And so on and so forth. You know, this will even tell you total blocks that you need, and so just do it. Just combine it. It's really simple. I didn't complete it because I wanted to complete it with you guys and gals here on screen. But this kind of comes back into play with our auto smelting setup that we have down here. All right, so all the ores are being pulled out here and then being processed. This really assists with this specific with this specific quest because you need several blocks of copper, 729. So let's go ahead and get to that. I feel like clear out most of this stuff here. Okay, so what did it say? 700 something blocks. Well, let's just start with that and see how far it gets us, huh? Now, what did I need? Times 3 or times 4? Times 3. Okay, so that got us there. Now I'll have all those copper blocks for making upgrades. And then basically what I have is just a chest over here. And this is where I'm keeping everything. So this is everything that we needed for the copper 3x. This is everything that we need for the food one. This is everything that we need for the ender dragon one. And so on and so forth. They're kind of laid out in lines. So if I take all this stuff here, we will see this one is actually completed. Gave us an enchanted golden apple. That's pretty bad. But if I now take all these items, oh, not that one. What do they have to be configured in this specific way? Can't just throw all that shit together. I think it's the axolotl plushie. Yeah, here we go. Axolotl. That's going to be a hefty 10 million. Now, can I set this down as like showcasing that I'm done with one of them? Oh yeah, I can. Cool. All right, so that's one done. 8 more to go. But yeah, I mean, with the food one, you just open this up and you're like, okay, this is why I was doing crabs earlier. So I need some crab legs, some dried kelp, and some rice, and a cooking pot. Okay, let me go gather that stuff. Let me throw it in. The cooking pot does have to be on top of a campfire, so take it, right click it, boom. And yeah, so that's basically all that's going on there. The ones that I have the highest are the cooking one, because it's fairly simple. This is probably the hardest one here, the chocolate glazed berries, just because you have to get all the way into create just for this. Because there's not another way of getting chocolate, which really sucks. Like, in order to get it, you don't only have to get a little bit into create, you have to get the blaze burner, you have to get it heated, you gotta get like all this stuff just to get one bucket of chocolate. Is it even 1 bucket or is it just 250? You literally just need the recipe once. He's really making you go a mile to go an inch, huh? Like I said, we did capture the warden, so I'm pretty sure if I search, maybe it's mob imprisonment, maybe we can find it there. Yeah. Not only did I find the warden, I imprisoned it in a mob imprisonment tool, and then I threw it in our mob factory over there and just absolutely slayed it over and over and over again until we got all that stuff. But I've not gone to the actual deep dark dimension, so here it really is just a matter of crafting everything together. I'll go over the apotheosis one because that one may be a little confusing, but everything else, I mean, it's like it's pretty obvious. I will say this magic bane sword, pretty good. Increases his strength with each enchantment. Has a higher chance of getting riddle inquiry drops and looting 2 or something like that. I'm not sure what that little looting thing down there is. But you'll notice here our magic bane has a ton of enchantments, and that's partly thanks to our new enchantment table setup. But it's also just because I just went through and was like, oh, can that go on a sword? Okay, I'll take it. But you'll see up at the top, it does 46 and a half hearts worth of damage, whereas our red matter sword only does 20. Now, I'll still keep the red matter sword because it has the slay all mode, which is really beneficial, and it means I don't really have to aim and yada, yada, yada. If you end up going for the magic bane, just make sure you put mending on it because it really, like, the durability on this thing is horrible. But yeah, so there's that. And what else are we missing? Oh, just getting into Draconic Evolution. That's fine. This is just a bunch of random stuff, honestly. And this is another reason why, like, you have to go into applied energistics. You actually have to in order to get the singularity. So you might as well do something with it. Um, that's all the charged snowball does is just make that plushie. That's not gonna lie, that's kind of interesting. This is everything to do with the wither, and some of it I've used, some of it I haven't, yada yada yada. This is everything dealing with like water, which I've just not even contemplated like going and doing any of that yet. And then I have no idea what this is, honestly. Trials Chambers is the mod, but I'm not sure how it works or what we do with it basically. So that'll be a fun one to learn. But I decided we're going to take a little bit of a break from this, mostly because I was getting super far ahead. And, you know, obviously that's kind of a bad thing when I'm trying to provide content. Um, but also because it's like you do so much monotonous grinding for some of this stuff where it's like, let me go find a crab. Okay, well, let me go find a beach first because they spawn on a beach. Oh, wait, they didn't spawn on the first beach or the second beach or the third beach. No, they didn't spawn till way the fuck out here. So, you know, some of the tasks, and that's fine. Whenever I complain about something, unless I'm like, seriously, this doesn't make sense, or seriously, blah blah blah. I'll usually preface it with seriously. Then it's usually just complaining for the sake of complaining. So, you know, actually having to go find this stuff, it's fine, and nothing's honestly been too hard or so hard or any of that it actually feels like a grind or anything. And partly if because, well, I mean, we can fly, we're pretty much freaking invincible, and our sword kills most things in 1 to 2 hits. So again, not a difficult grind, just a grind. And I feel like a lot of people put a negative connotation on that, but it's not. The grind is what we all enjoy in video games. If there was no grind, you would pick up the game, play it for 5 minutes, be like, okay, I get it, I'm done, I beat it, and on to the next one. So the grind is very much needed. And so whenever I complain about something, just know, and Chosen, if you're watching this one too, you know, don't take it to heart. Don't take me too seriously, at least. Um, you know, if I have any actual criticism with it, and it's like real criticism, like, hey, you know, it's busted that this is this or whatever, then I'll probably reach out. And even still, then, I mean, I'm a busy man. I'm a busy guy. I don't always have time to reach out to everybody. I barely have time to read all of the comments. So let me complain just for the sake of complaining, audience. Chosen, you keep doing you. You're doing awesome. If you are watching this, if not, then hi, mom. You know what you up to? Anyways, Next, let's talk about the RFTools dimensions mod, because this one can get a bit hairy, a bit funky, a bit weird, just because it's kind of all explained. You can go watch a tutorial from like 2 years ago and it's still pretty up to date, but I always feel a little out of place when I'm watching a tutorial on a mod from multiple years ago. If it's like 6 months or some shit, like, okay, sure, I trust you. But if it's like 2 or 3 years, I'm like, well, I mean, the mod's definitely been updated, so things are different. But anyways, I digress. Essentially, what you're going to be doing with this mod is creating a dimension, and you only need one of these dimension tabs. It's not really said in the quest back, but you really only need to make this an empty dimension tab once, because after you make it once, you can just sort of edit it from there. So don't worry, it's not like you're gonna need a ton of nether stars to go to a ton of different dimensions. You just sort of take this one and keep editing it. I'm not going to do that because I like this one exactly the way it is, and I'm not entirely sure if I take this out of here, can I dial this back to, 9 and get back there, even though seven doesn't exist anymore. This is the dimension builder, and this is the dimension tab that I used to make 7, but I've since altered it into being 9. So just for the sake of sakes, let's take that out. Oh, it still teleports me in, so I guess I don't have to use it after it's been built, which is kind of interesting. We needed to go in here anyways because our quarry is all done and we need it to continue. So let's put this down. Say 300, is that too much? And now this may not be as efficient because it's going to have to go back and like basically reread the top blocks. I mean, I guess I could change that, but like maybe minus 100 here and start. See if that. That might have been too much. Hold on. Let's just do minus. Alrighty, sorry about that. I always forget whenever I hit the 0 key, that's actually how I mute myself. So whenever I'm using it for numbers, it's a little dangerous. So you can see this is set back up. And yeah, we'll explain basically how this is all working here in just a minute. Let's finish talking about the dimension tab and basically what it does. So I've already taken the tab and I did this while I was muted, but basically I took it and extracted it here. You'll see that it is no longer colorful. It doesn't say any of the stats or any of that. And whenever you extract it, it's going to expose all this stuff. And here you can hit test and store, and it's going to make, a brand new dimension tab, and you can hit extract and it's going to pull it all back out. So essentially the dimlets here are just defining what the world looks like, what kind of world you're going to have. So we have plains as the biome. Ruined portals can spawn, which I really shouldn't have that on. I should have structures set to none, but you get to testing stuff, you forget about a dimlet or two. Sky's nebula, which I haven't really noticed it to do or change anything other than potentially the sky. Terrain is flat, so kind of like super flat, and that's what I wanted because I wanted it to be a nice, easy way for us to, set the levels for mining. So that was really just personal preference that it's flat. This one is pretty important. Block of diamond. It's the block dimlet, and these are going to come before terrain. It says it can come before terrain or before feature dimlets. Feature dimlets are going to be like hollow cube, large sphere, and so it will literally spawn a very large sphere of just a block of diamond. But you don't want that. You want the whole damn world to be diamond. So put in your terrain dimlet or put in your block dimlet and then your terrain dimlet. Don't worry about putting this with different features, at least for doing this one specific dimensional setup. Now for other things in the future, sure, you may want to. But for this one, just trust me and stick with this. And then the attribute dimlet, I have no oceans because I didn't want to deal with a whole lot of water. So that's really just a personal preference. And again, I don't want to dial up 7 in case it fucks with 9, but 7 is where I actually got all of my little cube things from. And I will say this, they seem to spawn in higher tier dimensions. So you'll notice that in order to keep, well, in order to keep this dimension running, it's going to take 1045 RF per tick. However, if I was to extract this, take the block of diamond out and store it as something else, you'll notice now it only takes 45 RF per tick. So this dimlet here, because it is rare, actually costs more. So yeah, just, you know, be wary of that. Is this okay? So yeah, and then that's our dimension, which we can take and throw into the dimensional builder. Then it'll start to craft the dimension. Then you come to the dialing device, find whatever you called it. So 9 is what I'm currently on. You know what, just for the sake of doing it, fuck it. If it messes up my diamonds, it messes up my diamonds. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So this is 7. No, it didn't. Right on. That's really nice, actually. So this is dimension number 7 that I made. And yeah, this is a feature. So this is a feature called cube. And as you can see, I just had, I believe instead of it being block, like a specific type of block, it was a tag. So it was forge ores. So it was all ores in forge that go into this feature. So basically this big ass cube just gets transformed into random blocks that have the tag of ore. So you can see diamonds, you can see draconium, you can see ancient debris, gold, redstone. The fuck's hitting me? I don't like that because I don't see anything that could have, would have, or should have hit me. Right? What the hell? Anyways, and then you'll see that for some reason, this dimension spawns in a ton of these little essence type things, little blobs. So, yeah, this is the world that I used. There's a blue one. I had 2 purple ones spawn in on me when I first explored this dimension, whatever you want to call it. And so, yeah, it was just really fortunate. And I think it might have something to do with the rarity of the dimlets that I put in, right? So I think they were a little bit more rare. And so it gave us the opportunity to see more blobs more often. That's my hypothesis. I may be wrong. As far as terrain goes, this is the chaotic terrain, which kind of simulates the, what were they called? What's it called? I don't even know if it's still a terrain type. They're like extreme, you know what I mean? I'm not even sure, like I said, if extreme terrain is still a thing. But yeah, so I mean, technically you could come do this and you could have a builder and you could take out all these ores if you really wanted to. I just don't think it's going to turn out to be nearly as worth it as what our diamonds stuff is. So let's get out of here. Let's go home. Shit, I didn't mean to move there. Let's go home. That's kind of an interesting structure down there. Maybe we should go back to that world. But yeah, anyways, so that's kind of how RF Dimensions works. If you're looking for a specific thing, like block of diamond, for example, maybe you haven't found the block dimlet and you just haven't gotten lucky enough, which is completely understandable given it's a rare one anyways, and then you need to find this specific rare block dimlet. What you can do is actually craft the dimlet. So the way that you're going to do this is by using a researcher to put in your rare lost knowledge. You can put in any lost knowledge, but rare is what you're going to need for diamond. Then it'll tell you basically what it does. So you see here, pattern. This is a rare block. This is a rare structure. This is rare time. And this is a rare block as well. So if I take out everything from here and I come over to the dimlet, you'll see it's completely empty. Or what? Yeah, the dimlet workbench. If I come back over here and say, throw in the rare block one, right? You see there, pattern, rare block. Then I come back over here. It's going to show me all the rare blocks that I can potentially... Should be showing me all the potential rare blocks. Maybe if I lay them out. What? Why are you making me look like a fool? Okay, so this one works, but all these don't. That's strange. Something fishy's going on there. Anyways, you'll notice that it shows all of the rare blocks. So you can do a block of emerald if you really need a shit ton of emeralds for, you know, whatever reason. Block of gold, block of raw gold, diamond ore. I went with a block of diamond. All of them are made using the same sort of pattern over here. So make sure you're selected on block of diamond before you go throwing this in. But then you'll just need some of the orbs from the actual dimensions. So you will need to go to a dimension before being able to do this, and some dimensional shards. Then up top here, you can know what you need up top by hovering the dimlet. So you see you need the energy module that has 3 little lightning bolts, and you need the little, I always forget what that thing's called. Hold on. RFTools, dimensions. Memory module. You'll need a tier 3 memory module for this. And then you'll need a block absorber. The block absorber is kind of interesting in the way that it works. Can I make one of these? Let's see. If I can, I'll make one and just to show you guys and gals how it works. No, I'm missing slime blocks and sponge we have access to. Slime blocks we have access to as well, but well, fuck it, let's do it. Do it like that. That's like that. So what was it? Slime blocks and shit, I don't remember the other thing. Favorite this slime blocks. Oh, a sponge. There we go. Okay. So the way this block absorber works is it absorbs whatever block is directly beneath it, and then also connected to that. So if I wanted it to absorb well, hell, let's just do block of diamond again. All right. If you want it to absorb block of diamond, you can do this 1 of 2 ways, or really multiple ways. You can place your block absorber down somewhere, and then you can start putting, you know, the block that you want to fill it up with below it. And if you break it, you'll see here, it says block. Now, block of diamond, progress 4%. So you need up to 256 of whatever block you're trying to absorb here. What you can also do, though, is sort of surround this thing. Right? And then if you place one beneath it, it's going to absorb all of them. So you can use the building gadget to make this easier, or you can use your storage mod. So for us, with the refined storage, I used a constructor set to block of diamond. And then you would just simply take your block absorber, and there you go. You say, Chance, that's draining your EMC, and I say, no, not really. Okay, you just wait on it. Should be getting pretty close. Ideally, hopefully. Whatever, we'll leave that there. So what you would then do is take the absorber and put it right here into the 4th slot. So you have an empty dimlet here, you have your memory module, your power or energy module, and then your block absorber here. Absorbed. It has to have absorbed whatever block you're trying to create over here, right? And then, yeah, like I've already said, this menu here is where you edit your dimension. You sort of align everything. And if something doesn't work, for example, this, right? I have the terrain dimlet before the block dimlet and no feature dimlet after. It'll say error. and then you just hover it. Dangling blocks. Blocks should come before either a terrain or a feature. So we say, oh, this is a block, this is a terrain. Let's put it before it, see what happens. A lot of this is going to be trial and error. Just build a dimension. If it's what you want, cool. And if not, just come back here, extract everything, and rearrange, try again, do whatever you need to do. Find another amalgamation. But yeah, that's literally all that I did. It was trial and error. Anyways, then you take your realize dimension tab. Whenever you get it all colorful, you throw it into the dimension builder. I have mine set to ignore it on redstone mode. This is going to require quite a bit of power, so make sure you are providing it with a lot. And then it's good to go. Come over here to your dialing device, find the dimension you created by name, and hit dial. I don't know what dial once does, so I just always dial the thing completely, entirely, and constantly. So yeah, that is the teleportation. We did this, we did that. All right, I think we're kind of catching up here. All right, so I'll go through this real quick. For one of the mods here, or one of the quests, you need the infused dragon's breath. And if you click on it, you can see here that you need to put dragon's breath into an enchanting table, and it needs to have all of these specific stats. So you need at least 40 Eterna, and more than 15 but less than 25 Quanta, and at least 60 Arcana or Arcana. And then you got to put in, you know, your whatever. Sorry, I thought I just heard a skulk, but it may just be the skulk shelves making that sound effect. Any hoosers. So yeah, you're gonna need that infused dragon's breath. What I found works best is you just search a turnover here, and you'll notice that regular bookshelves gives you about 1, and they can have a max of 15. So think of 15 as sort of your baseline, and then you can get all the way up to like plus 10 here on the draconic end shelf. So obviously that's quite a bit better, and you get just better enchantments from this. So if I take a book, and we're not at 50, but we are at the 40 that requires to get everything. Like, we have the exact stats. We have 40 there, 20 here, and 67 here are on our Arcana. But you can see here now it says we need to be level 80. This is still going to take 3 little enchantment levels, and it's going to give us a book that has multiple enchantments. So we have multi-jump 5, sweeping edge 5, and experience boost 5. And most of the time they're going to be fully maxed out on whatever the enchantments are. So here we'll take another book. Stable footing. And there you go. Unbreaking 5, mana regen 4, insight 5. And then ones that don't really have a level with it. That's aqua affinity. If it was air affinity, I would take it. Knowledge of the ages, and so on and so forth. I could really just do this for however long. And sometimes I do, just for the sake of it. Just for, you know, rolling the dice. It's always fun. And again, I mean, I do actually kind of need air affinity, so that'd be kind of nice. Oh well, not happening. That's fine. So let's just throw all these books into here. Boom, boom, boom. And basically what I want to say about this is, here's my setup. So I have Soul Touched Skulk Shelf. I have 3 of them. I have Draconium Block, which once you have the dust, obviously, duh, it's easy. A couple of regular bookshelves, couple of infused sea shelves because they don't add too much Arcana. And then some deep shelves of arcane treasures, which is going to actually minus Arcana or minus Quanta and add Arcana. And then we have the infused, which again is going to add some additional Arcana and some Eterna. Now, the reason you don't want too many soul touch skull shells is you'll notice there it has 15% quanta for each one. So if I place too many of these down, we're going to be up to 100 really, really quickly. So we have 3 of these, which essentially just having one allows the max enchant to go up to whatever the highest tier that you have is. So right now it's 40. If I was to destroy all 4 of those, our highest tier is 27, and so that would be our new cap on Eterna. But then yeah, it's basically just taking one and turn it into another and another and another. So you have the basic ones, and then from there you go into either the hell shelf, right, by taking a normal one and going forward, or you can go into the sea shelf. Then from there, you're going to infuse it. So you're going to want to have at least 22.5. Same thing for the infused sea shelf. 22.5. You say, well, Chance, this only gives me 15, so how do I get to 22.5? Well, you go to the first version and you see it's 22.5 for both of them. So you'll need however many it takes to get the 22.5. Then you can infuse them to get you the infused shelves, which goes up to being able to house 27 Eterna. Then from there, you can kind of go up, up, up. So you have the dormant one, which only has a max of 15. However, if you infuse it, which you need at least 30, and you guessed it, these have 27, and then you improve them again, and the crystalline has 30. So once you get to that, then you can make the deep shelf, not the dormant deep shelf, but the actual deep shelf, right? Infuse it. And then it can go up to 35. And last but not least, after the deep shelf, it goes into either echoing or soul touched. And then from there, it goes, either echoing or soul touched. And then it goes into echoing sculpt shelf, which can go all the way up to 40. And that's where we're at currently. So again, it's just a matter of throwing it in, enchanting, throwing it in, enchanting, and so on and so forth. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we're all caught up. That was a lot. It felt like a mouthful. It looks like it took well over an hour, but I don't really know because it's kind of split into 2 recordings just because that's how it worked out. But yeah, so basically over here, I've decided, because I do have a lot of auto crafting going on, and I'll get down into how we're actually doing it for these fuels, because that is actually really cool, really key feature there. That I know when I didn't know how to do it, I was like kicking myself trying to figure out how to. So we'll explain the fuels real quick as well. But yeah, this system is it's just a bit clunky. I didn't really do a great job of organizing it down here. So that's kind of why I want to do a whole new base and go big with it. Oh, excuse me. So right here we have 2 tier 3 crafters, and essentially in the crafters we have all of the fuel recipes. So you'll see up in the top right there, as I select different tabs, the recipe changes to the appropriate one. Basically, you're just going to want to click on tab and make sure that whenever you go to do this, you're clicking on one that says no recipe, right? You can even double click it, because if you don't, you're just going to be setting stuff over here and it's not going to actually do anything, and you're going to wonder why you can't hit apply, because if you don't have one selected and you try to insert something, then it's not going to let you really do anything. And then really the only thing that you need to do is set this to EXTC, which basically means any items that aren't consumed in the craft will stay in here. So if we were using a bucket for crafting some obsidian or some shit, I don't know, we could say EXTC and it would leave the bucket in here. Now the philosopher's stone's not ever going to be used in the creation of the fuel, so we can say, yeah, just leave the philosopher's stone within the crafter, and then basically you just need to put one in there. Like no automation, just come up to it and put one of these in here, okay? And then we just have it set up to an auto crafter with it's a diamond crafter, so it's essentially sending in the purple fuel or the pink fuel or whatever it needs to craft the next tier. It's going into this chest. The laser node is separating it into these 2. The reason I have 2 is because it works faster this way. Otherwise, it was really kind of dragging ass to try and get it out here. But then, yeah, so it'll send in, well, hell, let's get it crafting something. So let's go link. Let's get a blue one. Let's start. So it'll send the items over here. You'll see the crafter will compress them down. The philosopher's stone stays behind. And as it compresses them down, it sends them out to this chest, which then gets picked up back into the system. Alrighty, so yeah, that's how we're auto crafting fuel, which again is going to be pretty big if you plan on using the MC links. And the rest of this stuff is just kind of miscellaneous whatever. This is a furnace linked to auto crafting for patterns and all that kind of stuff. This is a dissolution chamber linked to auto crafting, so this is really useful. I never put the speed one in here, but I think that's because I did speed before I thought about doing this, and so I just made a fuck ton of speed upgrades. But yeah, I think that's about it. This is giving us an infinite amount of fluix. This is, what is this? Oh, this is emeralds. It's being traded up. So yeah, it's just, like I said, it's a little messy down here. I didn't really label anything. It's kind of like, what is this? What is that? And if we were to have a bunch of automation down here, it's really going to be messy. So that's kind of why I just wanted to go straight to a new base and sort of segment everything and all that hoopla. And you may notice on this new base, we have quite a bit of applied energistics 2 stuff already underway. I mean, we have 64K crafting storage, we have crafting monitors, we have a ton of pattern providers and molecular assemblers. So what's going on here? Well, essentially, I've automated getting into applied energistics 2 in our refined storage system just to make things, well, easier, you know? So if I scroll on down here, you'll see we have the patterns for the formation and the annihilation core, patterns for the storage components, for the crafting units, pattern providers, everything basically that we would possibly need more than one of in applied energistics. I went ahead and threw it on over here. But that way we can build out our base and I can get a good feel for how it's actually going to look and kind of move stuff around without trying to entirely visualize the entire base without having the building material there with me, which I'm really happy for because it actually allowed me to figure out the setup of molecular assembler and pattern provider to crafting processing unit or CPUs. So yeah, and basically what we have here is a max out on channels. That's the reason for this. So if we come down in here, you'll see we have 32 channels coming in from the top and 32 channels coming in from the bottom. And that's because this has 8 and this has 8 and yada, yada, yada. So the way this works to, essentially work out like this is we have 8 pattern providers here and the molecular assemblers don't really count on channels at least. And we have 4 of those. So that's 32 of them. That's one face. And then we have literally 32 of these CPUs all around because we have 8 CPUs on each side. There's 4 sides, so you do the math. And then each CPU here has an equal amount of co-processing units down below. So if we pop on down here, you'll see this one has 4 of them. This one has 2, 1, 2, 4, 1. And that's how they're all set up, right? 1, 4, 2, 1, 1, 2, 4, 1. And yeah, I'm basically just hoping that that's enough because, well, I don't want to mess with it anymore. Hopefully this is enough to get us through all the auto crafting we'll need for the rest of the pack. If not, maybe this pack is a little more grindy than I thought. So yeah, and then this is my applied energistics to, what are these things called? Circuit. This is my big yawn. This is my circuit automation. So again, looks fairly complicated, but that's just because I wanted to go for speed. So we have power coming in down at the bottom, coming directly from our reactor. Then we have 3 inscribers, all of which are doing the exact same thing and are processing silicone. Now the reason for this is because if we come up here to the inscribers that are actually making the circuits, each one of these requires silicone. So the gold one requires silicone, the calculation one requires silicone, the diamond one requires silicone. So for each process up here, we have one being processed down here. So we can keep up with it and ultimately reach, significant numbers. Because if you come in here and if I was to say applied, give me, let's see, I already have 20 of these 256, but say I was like, give me 64 of these 256. It's going to take 5,000 logic processors to get this really going. We're going to have to craft 5,000 1K ME storage components. And trust me when I say that's going to take a very long time. And even with this fully set up and automated and having ran for a sufficient amount of time, we're still only to 8,000. So like it would take more than half of our logic processors to make that many storage units, which again, I mean, it's 64. So certainly nothing to sneeze at, but yep, that's the process. Essentially, the ones that can be pulled from EMC links, so diamonds and certs quartz, they are, and they're just being pushed directly in. And then the ones that need to come from the system, such as silicone and gold, they're being pulled from the system. Which, again, we have infinite gold and infinite silicone being made up over here, so it's all right. Our silicone is a little low, but that's okay. It's not to worry. It's going plenty fast enough over here. But yeah, I think that might be it as far as everything that happened actually in between episodes. So now let's come over here. I did turn off the mob farm as well because it was just like every time I flew up too high in the sky, I had to organize my inventory. So basically what I'm going for here is just a large custom built sort of terrain outlook, whatever you want to call it. The majority of the floor is going to be polished crying obsidian, which I really like, and then some of it's got this eroded crying obsidian. So yeah, just kind of gives it a good little texturing, kind of gives it a darkness. Because my thinking, my feeling with this is your base color, so ours is kind of this purpley, either needs to be harder on one side of the spectrum or the other, and either needs to be lighter or it needs to be darker. But like choosing one in the middle, you're kind of fucking yourself. Because if it's darker, then you can build lighter houses like this and they kind of stand out and contrast a bit better. Right? But yeah, then if you're doing, a light border, you'll want to go with dark blocks. But basically, we've gone with the crying obsidian, which is EMCable. Then we have some bone blocks for the side of the path, regular rounded diorite for the walking path on the odd side, and then on the even side, we have checkered diorite tiles. And honestly, a lot of people make their base either odd or even, but if you do a setup kind of like this, where it's even on one side and odd on the other, then you kind of get the best of both worlds. If you need a side that has even, such as doing, I mean, the best example is like a classic mob farm, right? Obviously, we won't be doing that, but that's like a good example of, something needing to be even instead of odd. So that's that. And then for the actual base of the building, we're using calcite here. I don't think calcite needs any kind of transformation, honestly. If you want to transform something, use diorite, but calcite, it looks so good just in its base form, and that's exactly what we have here. Anyways, gold really easy, redstone really easy to acquire, so like very, very cheap building here, but it does look really, really cool as well. And yeah, basically what we're going to be diving into on the next one is getting into applied energistics, and we'll see just how far we can get through this grind because we are 1 down, 8 more to go. And I think so the food one, even though it's going to be the most difficult food, should still be relatively easy. So that's 1. Excuse me. 2, because we'll get that draconic thing and no worries. That's 2 that can kind of be completed. No, we're nowhere near being completed with the rest of them. So yeah, we'll probably just try to get this, maybe get into draconic evolution a little bit, or maybe just finish off the food in between episodes. But the main goal is to move everything over to the applied energistics and start building new automation over here, because what I'd really like to do is put everything that is automated and everything that has an automatic crafting result for it. I kind of want to put it on display in like a little glass box or something as it's processing whatever it's processing. So that'll kind of be what our terrain is gonna be here. Hopefully that makes sense. Also, our base looks really, really cool on a mini map, like extremely cool. Digging it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me today. I hope you did enjoy. If so, please be sure to leave a like down below, comment in the comment section if you have anything you would like to add, any questions you need answered, or any funny joke you might have hiding up your sleeve. Of course, share this out with friends, family, strangers down the streets, and neighbors that you don't know. You never know, it might brighten their day, or they might be like, dude, I don't even watch Minecraft. I watch, ESPN 24/7 all day, every day, and I can tell you all the stats of the Rangers, but I don't know a damn thing about your oak trees. Anyways, share it out. As per the usual, I do hope you all stay safe, stay awesome, and stay crafting. Until next time, you beautiful, beautiful people. Peace out.